Hello and welcome back to That Haunted Show. It's been a pretty crazy week this last week. I was wondering if we'd even get this out on time. Literally, as I'm recording, it's pretty much I'm recording on the day of release, and I've got to edit it like crazy and get it out there. That bonus episode really threw me for a loop, especially with working. I've been working the weekend as well, so it's been pretty crazy. Yeah, what did you guys think of the bonus episode? It was different. It was shorter, of course, and it was more of a narrower topic of discussion. I'm just wondering if you guys enjoyed it, the smaller bite-sized information or not. Yeah, it's up to you. If you guys liked it, we'll carry on doing them every now and then. But I do want to keep with the big deep dives and set topics on the main episodes, and then the bonus episodes we'll try and do here and there. I'm hearing a lot from you guys now, which is pretty awesome. Like, I'm literally terrible at Twitter, so I barely use it. But man, the Instagram is literally going crazy. I've had loads of people messaging and commenting saying how they enjoy the show, telling me their own personal experience, which is literally amazing, man. Like, this is what I wanted. We're building like a little community, and man, I'm hyped. It's cool. But I need more if I'm going to do a whole episode on personal experiences. So if you do have any, like, just get in contact. You know our socials by now. It's That Haunted Show on Instagram and Twitter. If you use Twitter, I may see it. I barely use Twitter. But if you want me to definitely see it, do the Instagram. You can either DM me there or thathauntedshow@gmail.com. It'd be great to hear from you, and hopefully we'll be able to do a whole episode on everyone's crazy experiences, because judging from what I've heard from you guys, you have really had some, terrifying experiences. They've kind of, really put in perspective that it's not just me. Like, you kind of talk to people about your own experiences and stuff like that, but actually hearing other people's from like-minded individuals out there, it's crazy. Like, you guys have really experienced some stuff. The intro is still up in the air. I think I'm going to stick with the orchestral one for now, but a few of you like the trap beat, so man, I can't decide. Should I keep one as the intro and one as the outro? If you guys like that, I've got no idea. I mean, if it was me, to be honest, when I listen to podcasts, I usually skip the intro. I skip like 2 minutes in, and then that's pretty much where I start every time I listen. So yeah, if you guys skip it, fair enough. But yeah, give it a listen at least once, because I want to know what you think. All we really need now is some good artwork. That's next on the endless list of things I've got in my mind for That Haunted Show. It's really hard to keep track of it all, but we're getting somewhere. So actually, if you're quite artistic yourself and enjoy making new designs, or you're good at graphic design, stuff like that, digital designs, it would be, if you could give me a message, we could work together and sort something out. And of course, if we commission work, I'll pay you for it all. Yeah, it would be great. Or even if you know someone, we could definitely sort something out. Because I swear, it's only a matter of time before mine gets taken down. It would be cool to look a bit more professional, but you know what? We're plodding along doing what we do. So I'm trying to think of other new news, actually. Other new news? What else? Our streams have really shot up, actually. So, honestly, thank you guys again. Skyrocketing. We're getting like 20 plays a week now, which is really good. Like, yeah, I've hit my milestone. I really wanted 50 listens and stuff like that and streams, and we got that. I think we're currently on like 67 or something like that. So yeah, man, like it's going really good. When I started this podcast, I had this idea of creating a community. It was a distant idea. I didn't think we'd get it this quick, but we're slowly getting there, and it's amazing. Like, literally, I can't thank you guys enough. It does keep me motivated to keep going on, as I can tell, like, you guys are actually enjoying it, you know, like, it's not just, I'm just speaking to the air, like, I'm actually getting feedback now and comments and people sending in their own stories. It's really cool. Yeah, I just really didn't realize we'd get there this quick. I mean, I think this is episode 4 now, or 5. Yeah, I think this is episode 4. So to get there in 4 episodes, that's pretty incredible, man. I just want to, I know I'm going on, but I just want to thank you again. It's definitely really good. It's definitely something I've always liked doing, just that kind of general passing on knowledge. I guess teaching in many ways. I definitely feel the best way to actually retain information and knowledge yourself is by passing it on and explaining it to someone else. It really kind of cements it in your brain. Also, funnily enough, straight from school, I went on to train as a teacher, so I guess I kind of had that going for me. I guess teaching has always been there. Times have changed. I'm no longer doing that. Well, in a classroom at least. Now I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts and facts about spooky and haunted places around the world on this podcast. So I guess we're kind of transferring information there. So in a way, I guess I'm still teaching. So I didn't waste all that time. One last thing is that we're finally on Apple Podcasts, the big one. This is the one that has actually taken ages to get on because you have to get in contact so many times because basically my podcast distributor had got me on everything else except for Apple. And to be honest, I had no idea it was the main one. Since doing this, I've really learned a lot about podcasts. I mean, Jesus, there's literally so many places you can listen. I just had no idea. I literally listened on Spotify. I didn't even think to listen anywhere else. But I think it went up midweek this week on Apple. And already, it's just... Yeah, I'm a nerd for statistics and the analytics, so looking through all the analytics for the podcast and the show, it's... Yeah, I think I'm on something like 30% on Apple Podcasts already, which is crazy, because it was so vast and everything like that, and now to be 40% on there, it's... Yeah, it must be really popular. I might have to actually listen on there more. Yeah, I just really didn't realise there was so many more. And what I did, obviously, I checked out the show, my own show on Apple Podcasts, and I just kind of went through all the paranormal shows and stuff like that. And man, it's really awesome. Like, everyone's got so many good shows, and there's just so much out there. It's just almost endless knowledge. It seems like this whole kind of paranormal and spooky phenomena is really popular. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future of this podcast. I didn't think we'd get where we are as quick, and yeah, I mean, this is all on you guys. You guys have been listening and commenting and liking and sharing and everything like that. I'm just speaking about these things I've researched. So, thank you again. And yeah, if you keep listening, that's great. If you stick with us, we'll see what the future holds. It's definitely interesting. I already have been rambling on enough. At this rate, it's going to be about half the show. So, today's topic is something I totally forgot, literally like an idiot. The basis for one of my favourite books and films of all time. It features the infamous axe scene, the genius that is Jack Nicholson, and of course the recent sequel starring, literally, Obi-Wan himself, Ewan McGregor. If you guys guessed it, maybe. It's the Stanley Hotel. The inspiration for the iconic Overlook Hotel featuring in The Shining, and of course it would be from my favourite author, Stephen King. Now, I won't lie, I didn't really know too much about this place. I've seen a lot featuring on paranormal shows, and of course I knew the stories on how it inspired Mr. King to write The Shining. But I didn't know half of the haunted history that I actually found out today, so of course we're going to break it down and look at the history of the building itself, from then to the present time. Because it really has had some odd experiences, and I mean, it's just constant, endless experiences. People, even to this day, they're obviously doing ghost tours and everything like that now, because it's infamous, but yeah, you're really getting a lot of experiences out there. I knew it kind of scared and inspired Stephen King when he was there. It's crazy. So, here we are. This is the Stanley Hotel. Freeland Oscar Stanley was born on June 1st, 1849 in Kingfield, Maine. He was born to a middle-class family who were not extremely wealthy, but they got by. They knew the power and importance of education. From a young age, Freeland and his siblings were encouraged to take pride in their achievements, from writing poetry to scientific experiments and musical practice. The young entrepreneur himself, Freeland started his first business at the young age of 9. I mean, 9, that is... that's really young, literally. I'm trying to think what I was doing at 9. I was probably sitting on my ass watching Cartoon Network back then. But anyway, this business venture was refining and selling maple sugar, and all the profits he made went on to new school uniforms and textbooks. Wow. I mean, it seems like they're really on track for such a young age, right? I mean, that money would be gone on sweets and literally like junk food if I had a business when I was 9 years old. By 1870, at the age of 20, Freeland... Oh, and I forgot to mention, he actually has a twin brother. His name is Francis. They began their education at Western State Normal School, which is now currently the University of Maine, Farmington. They both had the same intention of becoming educators, although Francis soon came to realise that the career choice was not for him and decided to follow his other passion for the arts, and went off to become a portrait artist. Freeland, however, carried on his education, swapping colleges from Hebron Academy to Bowdoin College in Brunswick. During his time at Bowdoin, Stanley accepted a job offer as headmaster at Mechanic Falls High School in Maine. Jesus, so this guy literally, he must have been that good. He got offered headmaster position straight out of college. Wow, I mean, lucky for some. I know people who have come out of university here and literally still haven't got a job. Damn. Times were different, I guess. During his time as headmaster, he fell for another teacher at the school, a Miss Flora Jane Record Tarlston, who apparently was a pianist to the highest degree of the time. The two became infatuated and got married in 1876. Unfortunately, as always, this is where tragedy struck. Seems like a common problem whenever I research cases like this, like the whole Sarah Winchester fiasco. So things were good. They were going good for a while. Freedom was enjoying married life happily and teaching with his wife. But like I said, tragedy came knocking at the door. It kicked it open during 1881. Stanley was struck with tuberculosis, a really common disease at the time which had already taken the life of his brother at the young age of 27. Freeland decided he needed a less sedentary life, so he quit his job as headmaster and decided to begin a career of manufacturing. He got a little better, but of course tragedy struck again only a year later when his whole business was destroyed in a fire. Literally just 1 year later in 1882. So I'm not going to dive too much into this because there's a lot of history. This guy had a crazy life, starting multiple businesses, was really successful, and we could talk about him for a whole episode, but I don't want to bore anyone. So we're going to skip straight ahead to the time he actually developed and created the Stanley Hotel. So Freeland and his wife Flora arrived in Denver and began their own life there. After meeting a local doctor, Dr. Charles Bonney, who was an expert in disease management of the time, he said that Stanley should vacation in the Colorado mountains. So off he went and he stayed in a small rustic cabin up in the mountains and took walks in the fresh air and believed that his symptoms were going. He was so impressed with the area and the effects that he decided he would return as often as he could, and the idea of creating a place up in the mountains began to ruminate in his mind. By 1907, Stanley had recovered completely from the disease and decided to turn his estate in the mountains to a resort town. And in 1907, construction began of the Stanley Hotel, initially a 48-room hotel that catered to wealthy individuals and those who wanted a healthy and heartful climate. Upon finally finishing construction, the 48-room hotel was now a 420 grand hotel and retreat. Stanley passed away on October 2nd, 1940, 1 year after his wife Flora. During the years since his death, it's said that the apparition of Mr. Stanley has appeared to guests at the reception area, spending his time still in the hotel, doing what he loved. Which is quite nice as far as ghost stories go. Also, in terms of still being wholesome and nice, the spirit of his wife Flora is said to be actually playing the piano in the reception area and the grand hall, which there's a lot of speculation about this, and it seems that it's actually one of the most common phenomena to happen. But of course, people tracking the noise, they kind of led down hallways and corridors to the piano room, and no one's actually there. Like every haunted or spiritually active place, it varies all over the place. There's no set area, but people have recorded similar data and strange occurrences. From shadow people and figures, to eerie laughter resonating through the halls, flickering lights and items and objects moving by themselves on their own accord. The hotel is like a maze full of lodges, concert halls, ballrooms and grand foyers. And as usual, it is an extremely popular hotspot for paranormal investigation teams. The hotel now even runs its own haunted tours, which you can book a room, spend the night and explore the hallways and corridors yourself. The location is no stranger to trauma at all, as in the 1920s a huge gas leak led to an explosion in room 217, the infamous haunted room. The explosion destroyed the second floor above the main dining hall, causing drastic and permanent damage and nearly killed one of the chambermaids, a woman named Elizabeth Wilson. Fortunately, she made a full recovery and even returned to her job, which she actually held into her death until the grand age of 90. Not long after passing, Elizabeth and attendees of the hotel started reporting cases of a woman matching her description, walking through hallways at night and disappearing round corridors and straight into locked rooms. Another slightly odd habit of poor old Elizabeth was that she was very religious, bless her. She did not believe in sex before marriage, so any unmarried couple sharing a bed often reported some kind of invisible force wedging them apart as they slept, so I guess there's no hooking up in the Stanley Hotel, or at least get married for Elizabeth's sake. Come on, she's watching after all. Also, another habit of hers was to pack and stack customers' bags and leave them by the door. So of course it was no surprise that people wanted to spend the night in the most active room of the hotel, room 217. This is of course where Mr. King was to stay when he first coined the idea of making The Shining. Also, another celebrity has vowed to never return to the hotel and was seen fleeing in the middle of the night. Jim Carrey was on location filming Dumb and Dumber, the first one, and apparently he was so spooked he stayed in a cheap motel down the mountain. I did just notice this as well. When Stephen King visited, apparently he had free reign and totally had the hotel to himself, so he explored the whole premises and had some really harrowing experiences, and he believed that would make the perfect premise for The Shining. So naming it, of course, the Overlook Hotel, but we all know it's inspired by the Stanley Hotel. So I've done a lot of researching in a lot of places and apparent stories of the hotel. It seems that they're categorized by rooms. So I'm going to follow the format and break it down for you. So here we go. Room 428 is apparently home of a cowboy who frequents it, often in the dead of night. His preferred spots are in the corner on a lounge chair. Supposedly though, he's quite the gent. No one knows the full history of who he actually is, but a common theory is that people have spent so many good days there that their spirits are attached to the room. So it would make sense that they want to live out their afterlife in the place they love, and I guess this cowboy is no exception. Room 407 is home to local friendly ghosts, so I guess this must be home to Casper. Although no one has actually ever seen the presence that haunt this room, apparently it's very friendly and caring based on its interactions. Little is known whether it's a man or a woman, but there have been lots of stories posted. The most common being is a little boy once stayed there in the room and kept kicking off his covers in his sleep. The room was apparently quite cold that night, and the spirit of the ghost was apparently tucking the child back in, as well as a caring presence sitting on the end of the bed. Now, I don't know about you, but if I felt some presence sitting on the end of the bed, whether they're caring or not, I am probably getting the hell out of that room. Because, yeah, I mean, there's so many things about beds and night. It's definitely when you're the most vulnerable, right? And if I felt the kind of an imprint of someone's butt on the bed, and I know it's just me in there, I'm leaving. Simple as that. Or I might do a quick investigation, but as soon as I got any activity, that's it, I'm off. The concert hall, of course, has the tunes resonating from the piano and is said to be from the spectral hands of Flora. But she's not the only spirit that resides in the concert hall. A young girl, which people have named her Lucy. There's no Lucy in the history or anything like that. It's just people have had these experiences and just have kind of named her Lucy. It seems like multiple people have kind of got this feeling that it's someone called Lucy, and I guess there you go. The whole kind of story is this young girl was found in the hotel's own basement looking at some old construction plans. It's said that back in the day when this happened, the staff literally had enough and threw her out at the hotel in the cold mountainous wilderness where she actually froze to death. Also, notice a little shining reference there with, of course, Jack. Is it Jack? Here's Johnny. No, Johnny. John? Here's Johnny? Jesus, it's been so long since I've seen the film. You know the end, where Jack Nicholson's frozen, sitting outside. Could it be a reference? Could Mr. King have known about this? Who knows? It's now said that she's to haunt her favourite spot being the concert hall and the last place she was seen alive, which was, of course, the basement. There has also been some really interesting pictures posted featuring the ghostly presence of this little girl walking around, which some of it is really clear. I'll post some on the Instagram because it all seems like they're all pictures from different people, but the child looks the same in every picture, which is really quite creepy. Like, it's really quite interesting. I'll definitely post them so you guys can check it out. Room 418, on the topic of scary children, of course, is said to be definitely haunted by young children who like to play tricks on people and move personal objects around in the room. Guests have seen lights flickering, hangers in the wardrobe moving on their own, and in some cases bedsheets literally being ripped off from the bed during the night, followed by eerie giggling and laughing. Now, I don't know about you, but getting haunted by anything is pretty scary. But if there's giggling and the sheets are being ripped off, I don't know what it is. I think ever since right, basically, I'm going to break this down. Like, I saw The Ring at a young age, and there's something about little girl ghosts, like with the whole hair on their face. It freaks me the hell out, man. Like, literally to this day. I still can't watch The Ring. It's not even scary, but little girls, hair over the face, I just can't deal with it. It freaks me out. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting distracted because I'm going to get myself freaked out here. So we got one more room. Room 13. So, of course, room 13, spooky enough. Number is usually a negative thing. The room itself actually has no history to it, but it's said to be one of the most active rooms in the hotel. The tour always seems to stop at it so you can go in and do your own research, or you can just book the room yourself and spend the night if you're brave enough. So the happenings here seem to be as if this spirit really doesn't want to be captured. Voice recorders and cameras are said to die and have instant battery drain, as well as being knocked over, and in some cases whole tripods being knocked over too. Which thinking about it, is a tripod. I mean, I don't know about you, I'm just poking my tripod now. Like, it's pretty sturdy, right? It's gonna take a lot of force to actually knock that down. A lot of energy. So surely this energy must manifest strong enough to move objects, right? Which is quite scary. because surely, like, yeah, you get activity, poltergeist activity, like residuals, like I explained in the last episode where they're just replaying a pattern. But to actually have your own kind of equipment pushed over, that takes a lot of energy. Oh, and also, I added this later because it's actually related to the room, and I thought it was pretty awesome. Apparently, if you can actually get past the battery drain, if you're using a video camera, the footage itself comes out really grainy and almost static, like the old-fashioned TV static, which I thought was pretty creepy, right? Another standoff point is that if you're exploring this hotel and you're a woman, I'd watch out. Apparently the male spirits can be quite handsy. Keep an eye out unless you fancy being groped by some unseen presence, I guess. So from haunted rooms and halls and handsy spirits, it doesn't seem that there could be much else happening to this place, right? Well, guess again. It's also said that there is a vortex residing in the hotel too. This vortex is said to be located between floors on the staircase in the main guest house. People have gotten some really high EMF spikes and energy readings from this exact spot, which in turn is how it got named as a vortex. The vortex is known as a rapid transit system for spirits around the hotel who use it to manifest themselves, then seemingly disappear into the unknown. So there's a fair few hotspots and ghosts that are potentially haunting this place, right? So it would be pretty off-putting if I said there was a huge underground cave system under the hotel itself. Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty terrifying. Workers back in the day used to use these cave systems to move about the hotel quickly. But this is also used as a staple for skeptics who investigate here. For temperature differences, it's said that this could quite likely be a breeze from these underground caves. But if you look at it, it's... I don't know how to feel about this, because basically you've got this apparent breeze coming from through the foundations, through the floors, the insulation, the wiring, the carpeting. It just seems pretty unlikely to me. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure how strong a breeze is, and are you even going to feel it that high up, right? So it just seems pretty unlikely to me. In these caves too, it also has a really high concentration of limestone, which is said to be really spiritually charged. Now, I didn't really know much about this, but it's linked to a lot of places. Places which have a high charge of limestone, a high percentage of limestone, is a very good conductor, and I mean, I'm quite lost on it and couldn't find that much information, but these places that have a lot of it, it seems really spiritually active. And I've also heard a lot from other people and podcasts, so hopefully I can find out more about it and explain some of its properties to you, because actually looking at it, I didn't really find too much information. And there was a book, but the book wouldn't have come on time by the time I wanted to put this episode out, so I didn't bother getting it. Maybe I'll order it and do a little fact episode on it or something like that, but I'll look into it. I'm just not really that fussed. I don't want to do a whole episode on it. Maybe I'll just drop a show note on it or something like that if that's something you want. So, getting back to the story, I just love the fact that how haunted this place actually is. Reports of paranormal incidents going back literally a century. It's just crazy. Like, that is 100 years plus this hotel has been around, right? And there've been reports of incidents and paranormal events literally since near enough day one, since the conception of this hotel, right? And man, I love this place. Like, honestly, just to look at it. I'll post the pictures on the Instagram as well, but this place is beautiful, and it really did serve its purpose in many ways. When it was used as a resort for people suffering with lung-related illnesses from the Industrial Revolution, it was an ideal getaway. You had free reign over the gorgeous mountains and could take hiking trails and just explore up there. Plus, being up in the mountains away from civilization below, it's easy to forget what life was like back down there in the bustling cities of suburbia. And of course, the main thing up there was the air was pure. It was clean and healthy, so that all these people suffering with respiratory issues and tuberculosis, like Mr. Stanley himself, they found it ideal and it was one of the only real treatments that actually worked. Seems to make sense that all these spirits would reside there in a way. They all had some kind of life improvement and spent some of the best times there, so logically, it would only make sense for them to visit in the afterlife, right? Is this apparent vortex or portal making the gateway easier? I don't know, but it seems like a prominent feature to me. And looking back over the evidence and information that I've actually researched and found for this episode, I don't think there's actually been many, maybe one or two negative paranormal events and happenings. It seems that in a lot of cases, the spirits there are they're kind and nice, which seems crazy to me because, of course, when someone says like somewhere's haunted or they're having activity or something like that, you instantly think negative. You're thinking ghosts, demons, poltergeists. You're like, oh man, let's get out of this place. But even I've had some stories from people messaging in and commenting and stuff like that, and there's a lot of positive experiences you can have out of these hauntings and happenings and visits. It's really quite nice when you hear some positives. I mean, you don't have to have some negative haunting. Of course, there are going to be negative hauntings, but it could just be purely a misunderstanding. They could be trying to communicate, and it's not in our norm. It's not in our normal paradigm, and we can't quite comprehend it ourselves. It's cool, like, Mr. Stanley and his wife have been known to visit there, and I'm kind of picturing it as like a hotel for spirits to hang out. So bear with me here. I thought of it as this kind of place where spirits hang out. I just thought it was kind of cool. Like, they're just doing what they did back then, yet this time they're out of the way and in the shadows, or maybe even in front of our very eyes and we just can't perceive them. I mean, we never know, but I kind of like the thought of a wholesome ghost hotel. Like, they're all just living there, doing their bit, having their life, and just getting on with things, you know? It's really quite a nice idea, you know? It's just something we can't perceive, something that's out of our norm, and they could just be living there. I mean, like residual haunts and stuff like that, a lot of the time they could just be... Of course, I don't mean residual haunts, that's a bad example, but general kind of happenings and activity, right? It could just be people, there could be spirits everywhere for all we know, and we just can't perceive them because it's just out of our norm, and they could just literally be getting on with their life. That could be their afterlife. They could just, whatever you believe and stuff like that. Maybe that is their heaven. Everyone's all together just in one kind of happy afterlife or something like that. Well, of course, we're never going to know. And it is kind of up there, but it's an interesting thought, right? We're going to try and round off here, even though I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but I want to drop a few more facts about the hotel itself, because I love this place. It was so good to research. There was literally just so much activity there. Just every room was haunted. I mean, you've got vortexes, portals, The Shining, like children, spirit, ghosts. Like, oh, actually, thinking about it, was that kind of inspiration for the twins in The Shining as well? I don't. It could be. Nothing's confirmed. I'm just rambling here. But anyway, I'm going to drop a few more facts. It's basically, it was almost called the Dunraven, but unfortunately many locals did not like it and petitioned against it. The name Dunraven came from the original owner of the land itself before Mr. Stanley purchased off him, and it said that he is also one of the spirits who visit the hotel. The hotel itself is also stated as one of the most haunted places on Earth, with reports going all the way back to 1911. It also now features a casino, its own airstrip, and a shooting range. Maybe not the best idea to keep firearms in a place filled with spiritual activity. I mean, Jesus, right? The hotel gets on average 200 applicants of professional investigators who want to explore and investigate the hotel. The hotel has become infamous from its own reputation and relation to the Overlook. But its reputation did not purely come from Mr. King's novel alone. Like I said, reports of paranormal incidents have been happening since the beginning of the 20th century. So has this place always been charged with energy? Is it truly haunted? Again, it is a fact that it has such a huge cult following in pop culture that maybe people manifest their own imaginations. We're never going to know. And all I can say is, well, I want to go so bad, man. I really do. I definitely want to do my own kind of investigations. It's something I'm really interested in. And although I really want to do it like more primitive though. I'm not going all out with the tech. Yeah, I already have cameras and voice recorders and stuff like that just because I really like photography and I've got loads of like DSLR cameras and antique cameras and stuff like that. Oh, also, I don't know, my own opinion, all this fancy tech, of course, it does make the job easier and it's a more effective way of investigating and actually capturing evidence, but if you caught a voice or unexplained noise on just a normal voice recorder or even your phone, that's more solid evidence, right? You just can't go against it. It's literally a pure recording. And also, I know I have been looking at getting one of those twists, like to turn on torches, if you know what I mean. You kind of rotate the end and it turns on. I actually saw this technique used on, it was on BuzzFeed Unsolved, so yeah, I mean, BuzzFeed Unsolved is the best thing to come out of BuzzFeed, actually, let's be honest. But it's actually a solid idea. I thought it was genius, yet it was so simple. So what you kind of do, you rotate the torch, so it's literally millimeters from turning on. It's literally on borderline, and then you do your own investigation and ask the spirit or presence to interact with the torch to see if they can turn it on. This would require very little energy, as the circuit, I guess, inside the torch is already half activated. I mean, I have to kind of look back to science here in school, but yeah, I guess if you kind of turn it on a little bit, it's half activated. But yeah, I mean, you guys probably know better than me at this moment. Of course, you're going to have to take this into consideration. Any slight movement may be enough to turn it on, which is completely logical. But leaving it on the side and keeping it away from people seems like a good idea. Or even on a tripod, which is literally still unstable. So any movement has got to be of the spiritual kind. Then you can go on to make up a code, flash once for no, twice for yes, etc. Then if you start getting intelligent responses, it's pretty good evidence because the circuit is half on. Then you could literally argue with anyone, because if the circuit's only half on, but if you're getting logical, straight answers to questions you're asking, it seems to me that that's definitely a spirit. But hey, I'm just a strong believer, right? That's simple as it is. I've had too many experiences and which I just can't comprehend and stuff like that. It's, really some weird kind of things, but I don't want to go into them too much because maybe next episode or the episode after, I'm probably going to do a personal episode, which I'm probably going to have my sister on because she's currently in my old bedroom because I no longer live at home and she's having experiences now. And of course, when I used to live there, I didn't have God, this is really going to age. I didn't have smartphones and stuff like that. So I didn't have a phone to capture and record and send Snapchats and stuff like that. But there's so many pictures she sends me of these random just orbs and weird phenomena happening in the room, which, man, when I was there, I experienced some weird stuff. So, and also, I literally found this out the other day, which is really weird. We've experienced the same kind of face appearing, which was really quite scary. I mean, we've spent years not knowing this, and it wasn't until she brought it up the other day, and we were both like, wow, that's horrifying. Getting back to it, like I said, I'm a strong believer. I have nothing against people who don't believe. I respect everyone's own thoughts and opinions, and I'll gladly hear what you've got to say. I mean, if you've got some actual proof that this is fake or this didn't happen, then talk to me. I'd like to hear because, like I said, I've got no prejudices or anything like that. If you can prove something to me, then of course I'm going to listen. I'm not biased. Just for myself, personally, there's just too many things I can't explain, and I just think there's more to life out there than just strict science, because now this is where it's going to be a mixed bag, right? You can't disprove, but you can't prove. And of course, I don't want to start the whole argument that the whole kind of science and religion and evolution and stuff like that, because it's just going to start some whole kind of argument, and this is why I stay out of religion and politics and stuff like that, just because I don't like arguing, man. I'd rather just get on, research some spooky places, look up the evidence, and say my piece, and have you guys listen, right? I'm just the mediator here. I can't remember who this was. I think it was Ricky Gervais, actually. I can't remember. I think it was on some talk show in America or something like that. And he basically said, if there was an apocalypse and the world was to end, basically all the science textbooks and stuff like that, they would be rewrote exactly as they are, because of course the findings are fact. And of course it would take years, hundreds of years and thousands of years to get where we are again today. They would be the same basis and exactly the same, right? Religious teachings and stuff like that, they're going to be completely different because it's just varied, right? How can you kind of get the same belief? There's no fact behind it or anything like that. It will be completely different. There'll probably still be religions out there because people want to believe in things and have faith in things and stuff like that. So I believe, my personal opinion, that there will of course still be religion, but I think it will be something completely different. It won't be Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, and I just think it will be completely different, which of course is expected because it's not fact. I'm not going to get into this just because I'm going to ramble on for ages, but I was talking about this the other day actually, and we were talking it's almost at this stage, it's kind of like Chinese whispers. I don't know if you ever played that as a kid, right? So you all kind of sit around and you might say I like apples or something like that, and then you pass it along, and then when it gets to you're the one who says oh yeah, so and so likes sausage, or you change it up completely, right? Just to be annoying, because that's what kids do, right? And it just reminds me of that. All these stories get passed down over time, and I mean, you've basically got this story, the whole story of I'm going to go off Christianity just because it's the story I know the most of, just because English is what we get taught in RE here. So you've got the story of Jesus, the Bible and stuff like that, and over the years it just kind of changes from families and these stories. And the books disappear and come back, and New Testament, Old Testament. It just seems like, yeah, I don't want to dispute anything, but it just seems to me that there's no kind of exactness of it. I mean, I like to kind of be religious in my own way. I don't count myself as an atheist, although I don't believe in any strict religion as it is. I like to believe there is something after life, be it kind of spiritual or something like that, but there's no kind of exact religion I'm sticking to. I like to think it's all happiness, but of course, we're never going to know when we end. Is it just like the end of consciousness? Is everything all black? You don't even know, you're not even aware. We're never going to know, and it's hard to comprehend. I have this conversation so many times, and it's always the same answer, which no one's going to know until it actually happens, right? Yeah, I've definitely been rambling on enough, so I'm going to round off this episode now anyway. I hope you enjoyed it. It was definitely really interesting to research, and I just feel like this episode, it was kind of short. Although there was a lot of facts and everything like that, I was shooting all these numbers at you and all these rooms and happenings. It just seemed really short, so I don't know if I'm too happy with it, but I definitely think the bonus episode kind of threw me for a loop, and I kind of ran out of time, and I don't want to put something out that isn't perfect, but looking at my notes, this is the most notes I've ever done on a show, and it just seems really short. I mean, what are we running at right now? We are currently running at about 40 minutes, which I guess is average for an episode. Yeah, I guess it's about the same, actually. But, of course, let me know if you like it. You know exactly where we are, That Haunted Show on Instagram and Twitter, or email us at thathauntedshow@gmail.com. Like I said, we're on a roll right now, and it'll be great to hear from you. I really want to hear your own stories and stuff like that. And, of course, if you're having any problems, anything like that, you want to get in contact with the show, just let me know. If you just need someone to talk to, we're here. I say we're here. I'm here. Unfortunately, it's just me. I have to record, research, and edit all these things myself. It would be nice to get a co-host or co-researcher at least, but it's something I enjoy and I don't mind doing it at all. We're going to round things off now. Of course, take care. Stay spooky. Good night.